When we think about greatness, it's not always about money or power, right? Sometimes true greatness is about the impact one person can have on, well, on all of us. And that's exactly what we're digging into today, the entire story of Mother Teresa, a woman who dedicated her whole life to serving the poorest of the poor. So let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with this quote because it's everything. This is the key that unlocks her entire life's mission. See, for her, it wasn't just about diseases you can see, like leprosy. The real sickness, the biggest one, was that feeling of being totally unwanted, completely alone. And that's what she set out to heal. So where does this all begin? Well, she was born Anjezë Bojaxhiu into a really devout Catholic family in Albania. And even as a kid, she felt this powerful pull toward a religious life. I mean, think about it. At just 18 years old, she makes this massive decision to leave her family, everything she's ever known, to join the Sisters of Loreto. Why? Because they had missions in India, a place that would soon become her new home and really the center of her entire universe. And for the next 17 years, her life was pretty set. It had a rhythm. She was a teacher, history and geography, living this very secure, very structured life inside a convent. She was respected, she was safe. It was absolutely a life of service, but it was a service that happened behind walls.
And this is where everything changes. Because what was happening outside those convent walls? Every single day, she saw the staggering poverty and suffering in Calcutta. And that reality, it started to seep in, It got under her skin and set the stage for this massive transformation that was about to happen.
She called it a call within a call. And that's such a perfect way to put it. It wasn't her saying, I'm done with my first vows. No, it was something deeper, something way more demanding. For her, it was a direct instruction from God. Leave the convent, go out into the slums, and be with the people, right there in the middle of all that suffering. I mean, you just can't overstate how radical this departure was. She was trading a secure, structured life for total uncertainty in the slums. She even swapped her traditional religious habit for a simple, blue-bordered sari, the same kind worn by the poorest women she wanted to serve. That was a huge statement. It was a complete break from everything she knew. And get this. Just imagine the sheer faith this took. She walks out into the slums of Calcutta, ready to start what would become a global mission. And what does she have in her pocket? 5 rupees. That's it. Basically pocket change. It's just incredible. So how do you even start with nothing? Well, her first classroom, it didn't even have walls. She would gather children and teach them by drawing letters in the dirt with a stick. There were no buildings, no supplies, no support system. It was the purest symbol of starting from scratch. But here's the thing about that kind of conviction. It's magnetic. She wasn't alone for very long. Pretty soon, a few of her old students, totally inspired by what she was doing, came to join her. And from that tiny, dedicated group, in 1950, she officially founded the Missionaries of Charity. And their mission? It was just breathtakingly huge. They vowed to care for the hungry, the naked, the homeless, the crippled, the blind, the lepers, basically everyone society had cast aside. But that last line is the real P, all who feel unwanted, unloved, and shunned. That was the core of it all. Now this next part is so important to understanding her whole philosophy. She said, "We are not social workers." For her and her sisters, this wasn't just charity in the way we might think of it. It was a deeply spiritual act. She truly believed that when they were caring for a dying person, they were literally touching the body of Christ. That belief, that was a fuel that kept them going through things most of us can't even imagine. And remember those 5 rupees she started with? Well, from that tiny, tiny beginning, her mission just exploded into a global force. Today, the Missionaries of Charity are working in over 130 countries. It's just a staggering testament to the power of that one call within a call. Of course, work like this doesn't go unnoticed forever. By 1979, she had become this global symbol of compassion, and she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. The entire world was basically saying, we see what you're doing, and it is monumental. But with that kind of global recognition, well, that's when the scrutiny really started. The saint of the gutters, as people called her, was now a major public figure, and her methods, her beliefs, everything came under a microscope. This is where the story gets a lot more complex. The criticisms really boiled down to 3 main things. First, there were allegations about the quality of care in her hospices, things like unsanitary conditions. Second, People questioned her for accepting donations from some pretty questionable sources, like dictators. And third, her very vocal, very staunch opposition to contraception and abortion put her at odds with a lot of people.
So to really get this part of the story, you have to look at it through two completely different lenses. Her critics saw her as someone who should have been a public health administrator, using her fame and money to build modern hospitals and fix the root causes of poverty. But that was never her mission. She saw her role as providing love and dignity and spiritual comfort to individual people in their very last moments on Earth. And this quote, this sums up her whole perspective perfectly. She believed that when we die, God won't ask, how many big things did you do? He's going to ask, how much love did you put into what you did? For her, success wasn't about scale or statistics. It was all about the love you poured into each small act. So after looking at this whole complex, incredible life, what's the big takeaway? Maybe it's this powerful idea she left with us, to find your own Calcutta. Now, that doesn't mean you have to pack up and move to India. It means looking around and finding the poverty, the loneliness, the need that exists right where you are, in your own community, and then choosing to do something about it, with love. And really that leaves us with a question for ourselves, doesn't it? Her story kind of forces you to look inward. What is your Calcutta? Where is the need right in front of you that you could meet? And what is that quiet little call to do something good, whether it's big or small, that maybe, just maybe, you've been ignoring?